Well, I'll make a video this morning, and good morning, anybody who may be listening. Whether I have anything useful to say or not is debatable. I've been listening to YouTube videos this morning the way that I often do, and there's some good ones. And they all seem to be on the same sort of theme about the state of the world and the fact that nothing seems quite the same anymore, and we have a sense of futility. Everything seems to have lost its sparkle and its charm, and that's quite a common theme. And melancholy and depression and hopelessness and so on and so forth. But of course, it did occur to me that I get those videos because the algorithm knows that I'm a miserable sort of a fellow who likes that sort of stuff, and so they're sort of tailored to me. And perhaps if I were a different sort of a man with a different outlook, and particularly a different financial position, I wonder whether people who are really doing much better financially would see the same sorts of videos. I'm not sure the extent to which money changes that, but at some point I think it does. And I was thinking back of my attempt to gain some equity last year. When I was at this time of the year, I was planning to move up to Blackpool and cash in on my expensive house in Birmingham and put a load of money in my pocket and buy this sports car or that one and build a garage. And then I think the idea was that I was just going to drive around on the empty open roads that you can find up there and chill out. Of course, I hadn't calculated it all properly. It's very expensive to just be able to hop into a car and drive somewhere for the hell of it and stay in hotels or travel abroad, all the rest of it. The freedom that money can provide, you could say. But it's not just money that's the problem, is it? And the Lord wasn't with me in my plan, and I was corrected over it, and it has been a blessing. It was ill-conceived and poorly executed from the word go. But I had fantasized about, well, imagine this. I'll arrive in Blackpool and I'll have £100,000 in my pocket. And so I'll go to the casino every day for a week and spend £1,000 every day. What would happen? Would I meet some new people? Would my level of enjoyment increase? And perhaps I would win an enormous amount of money. It's the most stupid thing anybody could do with money, I understand that. But sometimes the most stupid thing is the best one to do. Whether I would really have done anything like that, I doubt it, because I'm quite a timid fellow in the main, and that would really push my buttons. But nonetheless, money does have attraction and it has power. And I suppose, for some people, if they're really making money hand over fist, as some people will be at the moment, then really is the world their oyster to an extent? What do? You don't limit yourself with a sports car, you buy a yacht. And if you don't know how to sail, you employ a skipper. I think you'd soon find yourself some friends if you had that sort of reach. I think so. I'm not totally sure, but I think it might be easier to meet people to get along with and who want to share in your adventures of sailing to the Bermudas or wherever you might go. to this island or that one. And maybe if you were like that, the world wouldn't appear so dark and foreboding. It depends on your perspective. I'm not sure about it, but it could be. And I'm reading Exodus at the moment, and there's the time when the children of Israel are put under a great burden by Pharaoh. They go, and Moses asks that the children be allowed to go into the wilderness and sacrifice unto their God. And I think they ask 3 days, I'm not sure. And Pharaoh is against it, of course, and he calls there is just a vain idleness that they have, and so he increases their burden, and he no longer provides them with straw for the brick that they are to make, and they have to find stubble in the fields, and yet he wants the same amount of brick all the time. He wants to put them under duress. And in a way, we are a bit under duress at the moment, because our rulers have just increased our burden continuously until we have almost nothing left, although I think most people have enough to eat and perhaps shelter. I know there are some exceptions, but generally speaking. But we are under a financial burden and debt and worry, and where's the next penny going to be coming from, and all this sort of stuff. We don't have much of an easy life, I suppose. A great majority of people don't, because our wicked rulers have just extorted so much money from us all the time, while they are idle at best and working directly against us, actually, and paying our money to our enemies to increase our oppression, and withholding it from us and burdening us with unjust taxes and the wicked tax of inflation, which is directly opposed to the will of God because it's changing the weights and the measures. So, of course, the people react badly to the increased burden, and to some extent they blame Moses, because it was after he went and spoke to Pharaoh that the new measures were introduced, and they became very, I think, quite angry and dismal, and they didn't support him in his endeavors initially. But, the story of Exodus plays out, and the fact that we wanted to go, our ancestors asked to go and worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord rather than for higher wages. I think that's not irrelevant, shall we say, because that something like that would be pleasing to God, surely, because we're recognizing his authority. Well, that was all part of God's plan, that he decided to destroy our oppressors, to destroy the armies of Pharaoh and the power of Egypt in respect of his own kingdom. And perhaps a similar destruction is about to come upon Egypt, if we considering Egypt rather to be the wicked rulers of the world that have taken counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. And I know that the interpretation of that psalm, anointed, they'll say, is Jesus Christ. But I think anybody who is anointed with the word can be classified as the anointed. So I would see it. So I don't think money will set us free. It's faithfulness that will have that effect. And freedom awaits. And what happened to the children of Israel? Well, after all the various travails, they went camping. They went camping out in the desert. And what I would like myself to do is to organize a camping trip. I think that's something that would just be so beautiful, to have a band of people and to go up into the hills and to build a camp and to light fires and to live in booths for a while anyway. I think I'd enjoy a camping trip, and probably I'm not alone in that. I think it would be tremendous fun. I could get enthusiastic about something like that. So, may the Lord give us a camping trip. Those who will attend, they do say that we will assemble in the camp of the saints. That sounds promising. And may the Lord set my people free from the unjust burdens that have been placed upon us, that we may go into the wilderness and sacrifice unto our God. God bless today.